Now we shall study about radicals. Radical. What is the meaning of this word radical? Extreme. A little away. They don't want to just write petitions. They just don't want to pray. They just don't want to show faith in British rule. They want to protest. They want to be like, this is the way or there is no way. They just want to protest. The soft stance, the moderates were very soft towards the British. This made a group within the Congress, especially the youth within the Congress, very unhappy. They used to call the moderates as political beggars. The group of congressmen who criticize the soft stance of moderates are called radicals. For 1 mark, what are moderates? What are radicals? Write the difference between moderate and radical. Very important from examination point of view. Who were these radicals? Again, you should know at least 3 to 4 of them. Aurobindo Ghosh, Bipin Chandrapal, Lala Lajpat Rai and Bala Gangadhar Tilak are the main members of this radical group. They opposed the stance of the British. Students, what did these radicals oppose? What was their main problem with the British? So the British nominated a few Indians in the legislative committee to help their involvement, to take the Indian involvement in making the laws. They opposed this stance of the British. The British used to show Indians that, hey, look, we are doing you a favor, we are making you take participation, we are getting you involved in making these laws. The radicals believe that's our right, you're not doing a favor on us. So they used to protest that stance that British used to tell, oh, we are doing a favor on you. The radicals believe that's our right, you're not doing a favor on us by nominating us and making the laws. Now students, we understood the formation of Indian National Congress. We saw the moderates, we saw the radicals. Now there is a very important thing that is going to happen. The British decided that we are going to divide and rule. They wanted to divide Bengal. Bengal was very, very big. So the British said, due to administrative reasons, Bengal is so big, we are not able to administer properly. So we want to break Bengal into 2 parts, West Bengal and East Bengal, so that we can administer or rule more easily. But it was a very, very wicked plan. It was a plan to actually break the unity they saw amongst the Indians. Because if they wanted to separate just for administrative sake, they could have even separated based on the population. Students, now we will discuss about the division of Bengal. The British Viceroy, Lord Curzon, decided that it is very difficult to administer Bengal. It is so big, so we must divide it into 2 parts. But it was a part of their wicked policy of divide and rule. They wanted to bring disunity amongst Indians. So they decided that Muslim speaking population is there towards the area of Dhaka and Bangladesh. The Hindu speaking population is mostly near Calcutta and Orissa and Bihar. So we will break the Hindu and the Muslim speaking population so that they feel the division that you're from a different administration, I'm from a different part of the administration, like we are 2 separate states. They wanted to create that sense of divide, and they wanted to particularly break the unity amongst the Hindu and the Muslims. And they said, this is just for administration, we just want to govern better, so we are bringing in the division. So there was a lot of anti-British sentiment. The feeling of nationalism, the feeling that no, we just don't want British rule, was the strongest in Bengal. It was very, very dominant there. There were a lot of anti-British protests in Bengal. Now the British wants to do something about it. So Lord Curzon, in the name of administration, decided to divide Bengal. In reality, Bengal had more concentration of Muslims and Hindu people. The census report had indicated that the east part of Bengal has Muslims and the west part has more number of Hindus. So they decided that they will divide Bengal exactly according to this scheme. Eastern Bengal where there are Muslims, western part where there are Hindus. The Indians were like, okay, if you want to administer better, you can, instead of making east and west, you can make north and south so that the Hindus and the Muslims still remain united. That was a choice, right, students? But the British divided Bengal as per their scheme of east and west in 1905. The date is important. Like this, the British thought of suppressing the spirit of nationalism that was in Bengal. The division in Bengal was opposed by Indian National Congress. Still, the Bengali language could unite the Hindu and Muslim communities. Raksha Bandhan, they said, we will still be united. They all tied Rakhi to each other. Irrespective of how the British is trying to divide us, we will still be united. So, this cultural festival of Raksha Bandhan was celebrated. It was held to bring the unity amongst the Hindus and the Muslims. It resulted in wide protests across the country. Now the radicals, they were like, no, we are not just going to request the British, we are going to protest. We are going to put up a violent protest. They called for boycotting of foreign goods. They were like, okay, the British gets a lot of business when we buy the cloth made by manufacturers in England. We won't buy anymore. We will boycott. We are not going to buy the foreign cloth. And the institutions that encourage buying of foreign cloth will also be boycotted. They encouraged the Indians to use local goods. They said, Swarajya, we will make our own cloth. Why should we buy from England? The British government withdrew the Bengal Division Order in 1911. Because of this protest, the British finally said, okay, we are not going to divide Bengal anymore. So in 1911, after 6 years, they withdrew their decision. Tilak, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he gave a slogan now, Swaraj, self-rule is my birthright and I shall definitely get it back. Very important from examination point of view. What was the declaration that Bal Gangadhar Tilak gave? Or they will give you the declaration saying Swaraj is my birthright, I would definitely get it back. Who said this? It comes almost every year. Attaining complete freedom was the aim of the radicals. They tried to organize the common people. They felt everyone, you could be a farmer, you could be a student, you could be a woman, everybody should get involved in freedom struggle. They attempted to organize people by employing religious celebrations. So they said, everyone come together, we will celebrate Ganesha festival together. And when everyone came together to celebrate the Ganesha festival, they would talk to them about what is nationalism, how can we all be united and fight against the British rule. They celebrated even the festivals of Shivaji and Durga Puja. The Muslim League was born in 1906 to protect the Muslim identity. Tilak wrote 2 papers, Kesari and Maratha, in which he gave all his ideas on how we Indians should become united, how the British is not ruling us and they are only exploiting us. This gave a lot of encouragement for Indians to participate in nationalist movements. So Tilak galvanized the common people. However, the British arrested Tilak because of these developments. He also wrote a book called Geeta Rahasya in the prison, which further fueled the freedom fervor. So the newspapers written by Tilak and the book written by Tilak, both are very, very important. So students, we learnt about the moderates. We also learnt about the radicals. So a quick recap about the radicals. We learnt about the important names, Bipin Chandrapal, Lala Lajpat Rai, Aurobindo Ghosh, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. These were the important radicals. We saw how the British tried to break the unity amongst the Indians by division of Bengal. We saw how the radicals organized festivals like Raksha Bandhan, protests, and other religious festivals like Ganesha, Shivaji, Durga Puja, and so on. And we saw to it the decision of dividing Bengal was overturned by the British in 1911. Now we will learn about revolutionaries. They dreamed of attaining complete freedom. They believed that the only method that can push or drive the British away from India is by violence. They believed in killing the British officers. They wanted to bomb the place where British Parliament took place in India, and so on. So they established secret associations across the country, and they started collecting weapons and money for an armed struggle against the British. They also provided military training. A secret organization named Lotus and Dragger was founded in England. Another organization was People Aurobindo Ghosh, who were in England, supported these revolutionaries through this organization of Lotus and Dragger. Similarly, there were other revolutionary organizations called Ghada in USA, Abhinav Bharata, and Anushila Samiti. So you should learn at least the name of 2 secret organizations that were set up by the revolutionaries. What did they do? They used bombs, they used guns to achieve their goal. What did the government do? The government gave a lot of suppression to them by arresting them, and they even hanged them to death, and the reason they gave was sedition. Students, what is sedition? So let's say there is a law that is being made by the government, and you as a citizen are opposing the law by writing about it in newspaper or by a violent protest. So when you oppose a law made by the government by criticizing it openly, it's called sedition. So under the charges of sedition, the British arrested them and hanged them to death. Aurobindo Ghosh, V.D. Savarkar, Ashwini Kumar Datta, Raja Narayana Bose, Rajguru, Chapekar brothers, Vishnu Shastri, Champukar, Shamaji, Krishnavarma, Ras Bihari Ghosh. These are the important revolutionaries. Learn at least 3 names. Some more are Madam Kama, Khudiram Bose, Ramprasad Bismil, Ashwakula Khan, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Jatin Das. These are the more prominent or more popular revolutionaries. Any 3 to 4 named students will be more than enough. What was the dream of the revolutionaries? To bring complete freedom to India quickly. They were fountains of spirit to the Indian freedom movement. So they gave a lot of encouragement to the Indian freedom movement. Many of the radicals later became revolutionaries. Aurobindo Ghosh was one such a leader. He was a radical, but later he became a revolutionary. So students, this brings us to the end of the chapter. We learned how the Indian National Congress was formed. We learned about moderates, radicals, and revolutionaries in detail. Let us do the question answers on page 6. The Indian National Congress was founded in the year 1885. The drain theory was put forward by Dadabai Nauroji. Students, this question comes almost every year. You must learn this. Swarajya is my birthright was declared by, of course you all know it, Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak published dash newspaper in Marathi, Kesari. Students, which was the newspaper he wrote in English? Maratha. What was the book he wrote? Gita Rahasya. You should know all the 3. A secret organization named Abhinav Bharat belonged to the revolutionaries. The founder of Indian National Congress is? Who's the founder of Indian National Congress? A.O. Hume. Maratha paper was published by Bala Gangadhar Tilak. Muslim League was founded in 1906. The viceroy who implemented the Bengal division was, who was it? Of course, you all know it was Lord Curzon. Question 1. Which were the organizations that were present before the founding of Indian National Congress? The Hindu Mela, the East Indian Association, Public Sabha and the Indian Association. Question 2. What were the demands of moderates placed in front of the British? The demands were development of industries in India, reduction of military expense in the British Army, improvement in the educational standards, forcing the British government to take up studies about poverty in the country. Explain the drain theory. Moderates were the first to study the ill effects of the British rule on India. They explained the drain of resources of India into England through scientific statistics and called it the drain theory. By increasing the import and reducing the export, the British facilitated the draining of precious resources of India into England. Just like Dadabhai Nauroji, R.C. Datta also published a book about drain theory. Name the revolutionaries of Indian independence movement. Aurobindo Ghosh, V.D. Savarkar, Ashwini Kumar Datta, Raj Narayan Bose, Rajguru Chapekar brothers, Vishnu Shastri, Champukar, Shamaji Krishna Verma, Ras Bihari Ghosh, Madam Kama, Khudiram Bose, Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, Jatin Das are the most prominent revolutionary. Discuss the role of Bala Gangadhar Tilak in the Indian independence movement. Students, you can learn 3 to 4 points here. He was one of the members of the radical group. The aim of the radical group was an independent India. Bala Gangadhar Tilak started preparing the common people for freedom struggle. He declared, Swaraj is my birthright and I will give it back. Through religious functions like Shivaji Jayanti, Ganesh Festival, he started organizing people for the freedom movement. He wrote the newspapers of Maratha and Kesari. He used to criticize the British through his writings. Question 6. What were the reasons for the withdrawal of Bengal division? The division of Bengal in 1905 were opposed by Indian National Congress. Still, the Bengali language could unite the Hindu and Muslim communities. Raksha Bandhan, a cultural festival, was held to bring unity amongst the Hindus and Muslims. The division of Bengal resulted in widespread protests across the country. The radicals took the issue to the doorstep of the common people. They called for boycotting of foreign goods and institutions. They encouraged the Indians to use local goods. So, the British withdrew the division of Bengal. So students, this brings us to the end of the chapter of freedom movement. Y'all must practice a lot of names in this chapter. Who were moderates, who were radicals, who were revolutionaries. Y'all must write and learn about various movements, like what happened during the division of Bengal. What were the steps taken by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and so on. I hope you all will practice all the objective questions, all the subjective questions, and also take your weekly tests very seriously. Okay students, see you to learn the next chapter very soon. Bye.